What's going on, you guys? My name is Audrey. Welcome to Vine Room Media, and let's get into this week's episode. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about emotions versus fruits of the Spirit. So, emotions versus fruits of the Spirit is kind of like a term that I created when I realized that my emotions were in the way. Okay. Now, obviously, we're human, right? So, as humans, it is okay to feel, right? We have the right to feel. Jesus, in fact, had the right to feel. Jesus had very real emotions, right? And so, when we talk about emotions versus fruits of the Spirit, I like to highlight this aspect because I feel as if even within the emotions that God felt or that God feels today, it's always backed by the fruits of the Spirit. Okay, so even when we look at the sorrow that he felt or the regret that he felt before he created the flood, he was upset, he was angry, he was sad, and so he flooded the earth. But then on the back end, he replaced his anger with those fruits of the Spirit, right? He immediately began with kindness, his goodness, his love, his joy, his peace with our existence, right? His peace with the fact that we may never change. There are people who may never change, but I'm going to have peace. I'm going to be at peace with this aspect and still love them, right? And still be faithful to us. We have his faithfulness as a fruit of the Spirit. We have his self-control, and self-control is also like one of the things that really stands out to me, because you have a God who is all-knowing, all-powerful, and able to do all things, but he restrains himself in the fact that he gives us free will, right? So when we kind of look at these things, right, and we want to apply them to our lives, one of the things that I always say is this: because we are emotional beings, we are always experiencing an emotion at some point in the day, right? At some point of the day, we are going through some type of emotion, whether it is contentment, whether it is peace, whether it is love, whether it is anger, frustration, impatience, right? All of these things are kind of going on within us, right? And when I think about spiritual warfare and how spiritual warfare operates, I'm able to understand that emotions are the only leverage that the enemy has on us, okay? A large portion of this walk is based on emotions, right? If it's hurt, then it's forgiving beyond the hurt, okay? If it's depression, right, then it's joy in spite of, right? If it's the lack of motivation, right? If it's laziness, then it's praising anyway, right? Or it's doing anyway. Faithfulness to God, right? Which is, again, a fruit of the Spirit. As an emotional being, or just as someone who feels things very deeply, I used to feel like I was just supposed to feel. And even though I am, if you are a very sensitive individual, if you are able to feel a lot of different things, it can almost be like a tool that the enemy uses against you. And so challenge your faith by relying on the Lord in the midst of your emotions. Charge it to the faith in spite of what you may be feeling. Charge it to God and allow God to work through you. Be very conscious about your emotions. Be very conscious about what you may be feeling in a moment and what can I choose differently in this moment. So I think that's really good. It's been something that I have been trying, and I have really, really benefited from it. I really enjoy it. I really just enjoy being conscious of all these different things, because I promise you guys, like every single day you get out there, there's something that is trying to just be thrown your way. And when you have a hold of your emotions, having a hold of your emotions is self-control. It is the ultimate form of self-control because you are able to be conscious of things, things going on around you in your environment, of how you're responding to those things. So I highly encourage you guys to give that a try. Can I say this as a last point? Jesus conquered his emotions. He conquered his emotions even up until the last point on the cross, before he gave his last breath. Like, it was all a battle of emotions. All of it, from the very beginning to the end of his ministry. Patience, kindness, faithfulness, love, peace, joy, gentleness, right? Self-control. All of these fruits of the Spirit were the exact things that he displayed in his ministry. The betrayal, the rejection, the ridicule, the shame, the embarrassment. It says that he despised the shame, right? So all of these things, all of these emotions, he put it to the side. He put it to the side. The word says, I now press forward. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I'm going to have to go to Google because it's Philippians 3 verse 14. It says, I press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. So the same can be applied here for the work of God that God did on the cross, right? For the reward that was set before him. I think that's even another verse there. It says, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Okay, so for the joy that was set before him, the mark, right? Pressing towards the mark of the prize of the higher calling. He said, forget all these emotions. Forget all of the ridicule. Forget all of the shame, right? There is joy set before me. There is a fruit of the Spirit that is set before me, a prize, and I'm pressing towards that. So I encourage anybody who is listening or reading, for the hope that is set before us, right? For the joy that is set before us. There is nothing that can compare. There is nothing on earth that can compare to the glory that is set before us. Jesus already did the hard part. Jesus already did the hard work. The only quote unquote suffering we have to deal with is emotions, emotional suffering, if you will. But even then, I'd rather endure now, for those who suffer with him shall reign with him. So he's calling us to this fight. Follow after his footsteps, cling to him for help, cling to him for strength, and he will enable us to endure. He will enable us to continue to run this race. So I hope that you guys enjoy this episode. I hope that you guys really like this topic. I have genuinely enjoyed everything that has to do with just this topic of emotions versus fruits of the Spirit. And so I hope that this was also helpful to you guys as well. Make sure you guys like and comment. Make sure you guys subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this coming soon. And I will see you all soon. Until next time, y'all be blessed. Peace.